Good evening, everyone. I'm Diane Dimitri, speaker, author, entrepreneur, and mindset mentor. I've been teaching and leading teams of people for well over 40 years now. So welcome to Power Chat, where each week I'll be sharing with you some of the insights and success strategies to help you improve your health, wealth, happiness, success, and freedom. As we go, just drop your question in the comments and I'll do my best to get to them before the end of the session. And I'm here to help, so please say hello, let me know that you're on board, and we'll begin. Also, click and share on the button below so that other friends of yours can actually benefit from this night's Power Chat. And tonight we're going to be talking meditation made easy. Hello, Sally and Robin and Karina. Thanks for joining me, everybody. It's great to have you here. Amber's here as well. Terrific. So tonight we're going to talk about meditation and how to make it easy. So let's begin with the basic premise, because it is important to have the premise to meditate on. So remember, we've been talking about over these last episodes that each of us is a living, resonating field of energy, okay? That's the physics behind all of us. And that energy, who we are, directly impacts our reality. With the advances in technology we currently have, we can now monitor and correlate how a change of consciousness affects our reality. In simple terms, we now know that if we change our mindset, we change our consciousness, which means we shift our energy resonance, and in turn that changes our reality. Now, regular meditation is the most powerful tool to fast track this change because it sidesteps our limited human perspective, it sidesteps our intellect and our rational thinking. The one really important thing to remember here is that meditation is not an altered state of mind. It's not the altered state of mind. The ego is the altered state of mind. And we've been talking about the ego previously, and that's our bag of limiting beliefs and all of our conditioned thinking. That's the ego, and that's our altered state of mind. The limited human perspective that we've all been conditioned to believe is true is a distorted viewpoint. And when we live from this ego-based perspective, we can be nothing but reactive to ourselves, to each other, and to the world. And we see a lot of that at the moment, people reacting and judging and criticizing. Meditation, on the other hand, is the direct experience of our energetic resonance, of consciousness, of the universal consciousness in expression. And it's the direct expression of being. And I've spoken about being in the past episodes. Being, you may have other words for that. You might say your higher self or your inner self. There's a whole range of different terms. I use the word being as a verb, who we are being. And meditation, when we meditate, we actually have the direct energetic experience of being. That's who we truly are, without all the filters that we've put on throughout our lives, through our beliefs and our conditioned thinking. So that's what meditation is. There was an old quote I heard many, many years ago that I thought summed up meditation really well. And it says, prayer is talking to God, meditation is listening to God. And that's really what it is. We find that if we are in prayer, we are petitioning something or someone else. Whereas when we're meditating, we are listening. We are shutting up. We are not chatting, and we are listening. And that's the key with meditation, is to develop the ability to actually enjoy the silence and listen. So, to begin with, what's important here is that we must place ourselves into a state of enjoying solitude. And have we noticed that with COVID, there are so many people struggling because they cannot stand solitude. And yet it's the most perfect time on the planet as we go through this massive shift in consciousness to actually get used to, and enjoy solitude. If we cannot be at peace with ourselves in our own company, we will never find peace in the world, ever. So in order for meditation to work for you and to actually bring you benefit, the first thing you have to consider is that you must find enjoyment in solitude, because, as I said, it's impossible to find peace and happiness without solitude. We must learn to shift our attention from the external world to the internal world. And that's really been a theme that I've been talking about for the last couple of months, the last few lessons, is shifting our attention away from what's outside to what's within. Because when we become still and we settle into the depths of ourselves, into the depths of our consciousness, into the depths of our being, we can escape the limited human perspective by withdrawing our attention away from the ego, which will want to, by the way, go chat, 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 chat the entire time. You mustn't think that that's telling you that you're not good at it. It's just a device that the ego uses, that the limited human perspective uses to try and stop us connecting from a greater consciousness, to try and stop us from connecting with our being. It's not that the ego is the devil. It's just that it's so used to go, 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 go. And what we're endeavoring to do is to become calm and to say to it, you know what, you can take a rest for a minute. Just take a rest for a minute. It's okay. It's okay. So we need to withdraw our attention away from the world, the external world, and the ego, and bring our attention within. Because from my point of view, meditation is the ultimate demonstration of love for ourselves. The ultimate demonstration of love for ourselves. Because there are so many activities and so many pressures and demands on us over and over and over, pulling us this way and that and this way and that. And I often hear people saying, oh, I don't have time to meditate. But yes, you do. It's whether you choose to make time to meditate. We're all busy. And that's the ultimate demonstration of love for yourself. Why? Because you are going within and you are acknowledging that you are far more than what you appear to be to the external world. So we must get ourselves into that position of enjoying solitude. Over 30 years ago, when I started meditating, like everybody else, I had an ego that yammered away in my head and wanted to talk and wanted me to get up and do things, go and do this. Oh, you don't have time for this. You must do this. That's enough. That's enough. Look, you've been there for 5 minutes and that's enough. Okay, there were timelines and there were deadlines and there was a whole stack of stuff going on. And the key here is you just ignore it. Okay, I think I've already used in one of my previous episodes the analogy of actually a fish in the water, and the ego tosses over a fishing line and there's this lovely juicy bait on the end of the line, and we're the fish. And we have the choice at any time to just swim past the bait and go, no, not today, not today, not today. And it's like anything. We're learning new habits. We're putting new habits into our world, into our lives, into our being. Why? Because we choose to, and we know that it will empower us. We know that it will bring us the results we want. So we just swim by the bait of the ego when we start to meditate. So, as I said, I've been meditating for over 30 years, and slowly but surely, like anything, it has definitely paid off. Now, I want to share with you now the 4 steps that I found were the easiest way to meditate. So you can take these on board and practice them yourselves, or you'll find perhaps your own variation. So here we go. For me, there are 4 states to meditation. And I'll give you those 4 straight up, and then I'll go through them more in depth. The first one is being centered. The second one is to be curious. The third is to be receptive. And the fourth is to be in communion. So let's begin with the first state, or the first step, as some people like to call it. The first state is to be centered, and that involves stillness and focus. Stillness and focus, with all of our attention within ourselves, ignoring the chatter, ignoring the yammer yammer, ignoring the bait, ignoring it all, and just have absolute willingness and infinite patience. Now, what happens is this is where people give up. Don't give up. I know it can be tough, particularly if you've got an active brain, if you're a high achiever, if you've got all that stuff going on, you love all that. And the ego goes, beautiful. Oh, now you better think about what's happening for dinner, or what happened yesterday. Have you got over that yet? Or are you still thinking about that? I mean, everything goes on. The first state is to be centered. And as the saying goes, how long does this take? As long as it takes. This is where you must persist, and you must have a strong enough why. And the why is that you want your life to improve, that you want your life to change, that you want to manifest a reality that you deserve. So that's the first step, is to be centered. I often use this visualization for people. Imagine yourself sitting on the side of a magnificent lake, beautiful day, however it is in your mind. And the water is just rippling because there's a slight breeze on the water. Slight breeze on the water. That's how your mind feels when you go into meditation and you become centered. It's not that you just black out and there's nothing. There is the slight energetic movement of being. Okay, you're not flatlining. You don't want to go out like you're going unconscious in an operating theatre. That's not what you're after. There is a slight movement like the waves on the lake with a beautiful breeze just tipping the waves. That's what being centered and being still is. That's the first state of meditation, and that takes practice. It takes practice. And if you do a little bit of that every day, you're on the right path. You're making progress even if you don't think you are. The second state then is once you become still and you're centered and you're there and the ego has quietened for a little while and you've got that lovely movement, energetic movement just slightly going on. Now what I want you to do is to become curious, like a child sitting on the side of the lake and looking past the lake across to the other side and being curious as to what's there, just gently curious as to what is on the other side of the lake, and allow that curiosity to keep you in that position, casual yet concentrated, without any demand. So you're just curious, and at that stage, that's when you move into the state of being receptive, of listening, of looking, of being open and aware. You see, the more we meditate, the more we detach from the external world and discern the movement of consciousness. And that's the movement of the lake that you could be visualizing. And as we start to be receptive, this is when we start to perhaps get messages or feelings or nudgings, or something occurs to us and we go, wow. And we know it's not the ego because it has a different energetic experience. It's not trying to drag us from our meditation and our stillness. It is actually leading us further and further and further into the depths of the peace that we are feeling. So we may experience all of this movement through what is called the 4 clairs. And this is our enhanced sensory perception beyond our normal 5 senses. So we know about these. The first one is clairvoyance, which means clear seeing, which means we receive messages in our mind as images. So we'll see the image of something. Something will come to us. That's clairvoyance. And so you may get messages in images. And so be aware, be receptive. Don't just disregard it out of hand. As I say, feel the experience. The feeling will demonstrate to you whether it is a meditative message or whether it's your ego chattering away at you. So clairvoyance is one way that we can actually experience the movement of consciousness. The second way is clairaudience, where we actually hear messages. We hear what is classed as the small, still voice within. People have often asked me, what does that sound like? It can actually sound like you talking to you, but it has a different tone, a different timbre. There is a huge amount of love and compassion that goes with it. It's not just you having a conversation. I call it conscious conversations, where you actually connect with your being, with your intuition, with your higher self, whatever the term is for you. And there is this wealth of information that comes to you through words. That's clairaudience. And it's very powerful, and that can be the still small voice within. Many times it can also sound like somebody else. And you go, what the? Just sit and be receptive. Go with the flow, as they say. Let it happen. The third clair that you can feel or experience the movement of consciousness or your being with is called claircognizance. And claircognizance is a knowing, is a real knowing. You just know, whatever it is. You don't know how you know, but you know. And if somebody said, yeah, but how do you know? You go, I don't know, I just know. And that's claircognizance. You know them, you know whatever it is going on, but you just don't know how you know. And it comes on you and you go, whoa, there we go. And the fourth clair that you can feel the movement in is called clairsentience, where you actually have, you receive messages as feelings. You're sensing the feeling. So it may be all different sorts of feelings that you get, and that's associated, and you know what it's associated with. So they are the 4 clairs, as they're called, and that is 4 ways in which we can actually experience and feel the movement of consciousness, that movement of energy that truly identifies ourselves when we meditate. And I often say to people, and I always have done for the last 30 years, is I take a notebook with me. When I go to meditate, I have notebooks by the dozens in my library that I've written in over the years, because when the messages come, I write them down. I write down the message, even if it makes no sense to me. I date it with the year, make sure you put the year in, and I write it down. Then I go back, and then it'll come. I've got to the point now that when I go to meditate, I can literally have a conscious conversation without closing my eyes. And I can actually sit there, and it's nearly like an automatic writing episode, and I can have a conscious conversation with my being. And that's where you can get to. And, you know, once upon a time, you know, we'd all get locked up because we're hearing voices in our heads. Can I tell you, you want to hear the voice in your head. That is the best voice you're ever going to hear, because you know it will never lead you astray. Ever. It will never betray you. It will never lie to you. It will be there with you always. Why? Because it is you. It is you, unencumbered by your limited human perspective. It is you as the perfect expression of consciousness and energy and movement. It is you without all the stuff. So That's the third state of meditation, or the third step in meditation. And of course, it'll be around here too, of course, that the ego will pipe up again. What are you doing? This is a waste of time. Oh, now you're talking to yourself. Oh, you've lost the plot now. Oh, it goes on and on and on and on. You've lost me, I just don't know how to start. I think I covered it. I'll come back, Sally. So the ego will actually try and tell you that you're crazy, and the key here is just ignore it. Be centered, okay? So we'll go back for Sally here. Be centered, be curious, be receptive. Still, still, still. If you need to have meditation music in the background, that's fine. I'm going to come to that in a little bit as well. So let's keep going, because the fourth state is to be in communion. And that's where you are truly in communion with yourself, and you are sitting in what's called bliss consciousness, where you are in a space of absolute peace, where you are fully at one with who you are, and the feelings of joy and happiness and peace and faith in a fabulous future, and in self-knowing that everything is going to work out perfectly for you. All of that becomes a spontaneous experience because you are in communion with yourself. And this peace of mind renders great poise for you and aligns you with your life, and all doubt and uncertainty and anxiety are gone, all gone. So they are the four steps: being centered, being curious, being receptive, being in communion. And like anything, it's going to require regular practice. Now, your meditation doesn't have to be long. It can be maybe 10 minutes. But if you do it daily, 10 minutes every day, whether you know it or not, you are making radical change to your energetic resonance. That's what you're doing. You are clearing out your energetic field. That's what happens. So it only has to be 10 minutes. You don't have to put an hour aside. And the more adept you get at it, the more you enjoy it, and you will find that you will enjoy being in that space longer and longer, because it is a beautiful space. It is a space in your life as well. So the key here too is to understand that set up a little sacred space in your house, whatever that is. Maybe it's a corner in your bedroom or in your living room or somewhere that is peaceful. And set it up, maybe some candles, maybe some crystals, whatever it is for you. Maybe it's pictures of people that you love. It really doesn't matter, but whatever you set up should have meaning for you, because meditation is about bringing the meaning back into your life. So set up your space and then work out how are you going to position yourself. Many years ago when I started meditating lying down, because it was the most comfortable space for me. Little low pillow, lying down, and I could really feel my body just disappear because I wasn't having to hold it in any position. So you may find lying down works for you to begin with if you haven't started meditating yet. And you know what? Don't worry if you fall asleep, because you need it, okay? Endeavor not to, but don't feel guilty or chastise yourself if you fall asleep a few times. Also, find some music perhaps that relaxes you. There is so much meditation music out there at the moment. One of my favorite sites to get meditation music is called HemiSync, HemiSync. Because all of their meditation music has, as subliminals in the background, various waves, hertz waves, that balance the right and the left side of your brain as you meditate. Wonderful stuff. Cosmic consciousness is a fabulous one. Celestial meditation. There are so many there. They're very good. So find music that you love. Perhaps to begin with, you want to do a visualization, a guided visualization. where you actually buy music that has a voice on it that relates to you, makes you feel peaceful, and you do that for a while to get yourself into the sense of it. And over time, you'll probably let go of your guided meditations and visualizations, and you'll just do it for yourself because you will have developed the technique and your body will know what is happening. That's why I say set up a little space of your own. Because as soon as you go there and you assume the position, it's like going to bed, and you assume the sleeping position and everything's in its place, your brain will go, oh, I know what we're doing. We're meditating. Right, let's shut down, fellas, but we're not going to go to sleep. Let's shut down, because this is what she's doing. So it's developing the practice. It's actually training your body to assume the position and to shut down and to be centered, be curious, be receptive, and then finally be in communion. Now, a lot of people, when they start, they may start getting messages and they're writing them down, but they've got no idea whether it's true or not. Can I suggest to you that one way to actually help you and to develop more discernment in your meditation practice is the use of tarot cards. Now, I have a whole stack here. I have this one, I have the medicine cards, I have, what have I got here? The ancient Egyptian oracle cards, I have the goddess cards. I've collected them through the years and I have my favorites. But every day when I meditate and I get my messages and I've had my conscious conversations, I will often take my cards and I will shuffle them and I will ask one question. What is most appropriate for me to be aware of today? And I ask that 3 times. I cut the pack, I look at the card, I read the little booklet on it, I write it down in my meditation calendar and on my journal so that I can see at the end of the week what the messages have been, and I will go, oh, there we go, Because we need affirmation in our lives that we're not crazy like the ego wants to tell us we are, okay? We're not. We are in the midst of one of the greatest shifts of human consciousness this planet has seen. Actually, the last great shift like this was in 1988, when we were all pushed to expand. That's when I had my big trauma. 88, boom, you coming or not? That was my message. And so for 30 years since, I've been on that journey of expanding my consciousness, and we are in the midst of it again. And each of you here who are listening to me, what a joyous experience for you, because you see, you know that something's going on, otherwise you wouldn't be listening to me. You see how it works? Energetically, we're a connect. We're a connect. And so my role here is to encourage you to connect with yourself. I'm not the teacher. You are your teacher. I'm just a bell that rings and says, school's in, school's in. Meditation is your school's in time, where you go within and you develop that technique of listening and becoming more conscious. And then as you develop that, as I said, over time, you will be able to longer and longer and longer in your day, hold that sense of peace, hold that communion, have that conversation with yourself. Know the decisions that you are making align with your being, align with your best purpose. And all of the fear and the doubt and the uncertainty starts to lift, because energetically you are vibrating at a pure frequency, and that's what you're after. And that's what meditation can do. It is just astonishing. But you can't take my word for it, because I could be lying. The only way for you to know is through your own experience. And that's why I encourage you to have the experience. So have your little sacred space. If you can, schedule the same time every day. Definitely to begin with, the same time. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. Morning, noon or night, doesn't matter. But try to do the same time. Why? Because it gets your body into a pattern, gets your brain into a pattern. Use some tools perhaps, like tarot cards. Take a book with you. If you hear anything, date it, write it down. If it's mumbo jumbo, don't judge it. Just write it down, write it down, write it down. And persist, 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 because there is radical change taking place. You just don't know it yet. You just don't know it yet. And then one day, from my own experience, I meditated for 11 years until that day came. And at that moment, I had an undeniable communion with consciousness. And beforehand, I probably was too. But this day, it was it. I just knew resolutely. And it just went. And from that day since, I have that connection all the time. And you might say, 11 years. 11 years. Think about how fast the last 11 went. Think about how fast the next 11 will go. And then ask yourself, what do I want with my life? Do I want it to be filled with joy and happiness and spontaneity and passion and creativity and, just a great health? Because meditation will keep you healthy on all levels. So it's always up to us, up to each of us, okay? And meditation helps us engage with all of our inner resources, our creativity, our inspiration, our consciousness, everything is all there within us. Understand that nothing comes from out here into here. As an author, people say to me, where do you get your ideas from? Do they come in? They don't come in because they're already here. What I'm doing is letting them out. I'm letting my true self out in the words, in my teachings, in my dancing, in whatever it is I'm doing. I am a conduit for consciousness. There's nothing coming in. There's all this stuff coming out. And that's another great visualization if you'd like to use that one. In meditation, I used that for a long time, where I used to sit and I would visualize myself as this great big fountain of youth. And out of me would come this wonderful golden firework shower. And it would just keep going and going and going and going. And I would focus on that. And even if I had no messages, I didn't hear anything else, I would just focus on that joy and that passion and that wonderful sense of well-being coming up. So that's meditation made easy. And it is easy. It's just that we all get too tied up in what the ego tells us. Oh, and there's one other thing I want to add. I was recently, and this means recently, a year ago, at a party of a friend of mine, and a lady sat down next to me and started chatting to me, and we started talking about meditation. And she'd gone to do a meditation course, and she was bitterly disappointed because the meditation teacher said she was doing it all wrong. Oh dear, that always bothers me. And I said, why? How do you meditate? She said, I run. I love to run. I said, what happens in your mind when you run? She said, nothing. I don't think about a thing. I'm connected. I'm in love with the nature around me, and it's just wonderful. I said, you're having a moving meditation. And she said, yes, but my meditation teacher said I have to be still, otherwise I'm not meditating. I said, no, You can have moving meditations. Many times in my dance studio where I dance every morning, I'll go down and meditate in my Zen room, then I'll come up and do a dance class. Many times when I'm doing my dance class is when all the ideas flood in and I come running up here to my office and I write them all down because I know I'm going to forget them. Then I go back and continue and then I'll hear them again, I'll come in, I'll write them down. Understand that stillness is absolutely critical. We must have still meditation. However, we can have moving meditations. We can have those. We can connect. We can commune. You know, that lovely phrase, commune with nature. Who do you think you're communing with? The consciousness that is everything, that we are all part of. So I hope tonight has given you a fresh insight into meditation and encouraged you to, give it a go. Don't back away from it. So I'm going to have a look at some of my questions now in case I can answer some for you. Sally's saying she loves solitude but feels guilty taking that time. Yes, that's the ego, Sal. That's the ego, and that's our limited human perspective and all of our conditioned thinking saying you have better things to do. And you know what else it's saying? You're not worth it. And so when you start to feel guilty, you must say, no, I am worth 10 minutes solitude. I am worth it. I am worth it. Sally says she struggles using the word ego for self-limiting beliefs when it's been used in the context of self-important beliefs in the past. That's fine. Whatever word works for you. For me, ego just means a bag of limiting beliefs rather than self-importance, as in the ego that people have. So find a word that works for you, and if you want to call it the whole thing, a bag of limiting beliefs, fine. However that works for you is important for you because the words you use have power to them. And that's why I say words are semantics. It's a matter of finding what works for you. Yes, and Amber said, never feel guilty for doing what will eventually serve others. True, with meditation. Amber, I have always found meditation difficult, but lately I've been using the first waking 20 minutes as my practice and it's getting easier. Ideas and answers seem to be coming. Yes, that's true, Amber, because in that period of a morning when we wake up, the key here is, of course, nobody get on their phone. Shouldn't even have the phone in the bedroom with you. Very, very bad energy. Don't do that. You don't need your phone in there, or if you do, make sure it's on airplane mode so you're not getting zapped, okay? So in that moment when you wake up in the morning, I have on my phone my affirmations, and when I'm just waking up in the morning, I'll just flip my affirmations on and I'll stay in that space. And I'll reaffirm my day and my gratitude and my expectation of what will today bring me. It's a lovely way to wake up with that question. I wonder what today will bring me. Making sure that you're saying it with joy. It's a good time. It really does work. And yes, the ideas and the answers will start to flow in because they've just been there in that space. I hope I answered your question, Sally, about you know where to start now. You start by enjoying solitude and then starting that quiet practice of being centered, being curious, being receptive, and then moving to being in communion. Can you comment on dreams briefly? I know it's a big question. Yeah, it is. That is a big topic, dreams. From my perspective, I see and have experienced life as a matrix, like a Rubik's Cube. And wherever we put our focus, whatever lifetime we put our focus in, is where we are. And for me, dreams is my consciousness exploring other lifetimes whilst I have shut down this physical body. And so for me, dreams are, I've just shot off somewhere else and I'm experienced that lifetime for a while, whilst I sleep. That's my interpretation because that's my experience of it. And so because I've had that experience consciously of being able to transport myself there. That's what dreams are for me. So everybody has their own interpretation of dreams, and the most important thing is the more you meditate, you will be able to find out the answer for you with your dreams and what the significance is of them for you. And in your meditation, the answers will become obvious over time. We've covered the starting, how to get started. Yes, sounds like my next calming adventure. Yes, absolutely, Wendy. Yes, the music is really good. You find the music that you love. Find the music that you love, okay? That's important. Meditation, the medicine of the soul. Hi, Leanne, it's great having you here. Yes, it certainly is. Set up questions, you're there. Powerful energetic connections between people. Yes, no pattern in nursing. Yeah, I know, 24 hours nursing, which actually impacts life so much, you can't commit to anything. Oh, I love that, Sally. That's your little egos letting you off the hook there. I understand your schedule is constantly being moved and shoved around all the time. But you probably are given a roster, normally, I would think 2 weeks in advance, unless you've got a call-in all of a sudden, understand. But whatever that roster is, you can actually set up a schedule in relationship to the roster. So the brain pattern or the brain loop would be, okay, I start at 3 p.m., let's say. So what you do in your schedule for meditation, you go, right, so I start getting ready at 1, okay? Let's just say that's it. So whenever your roster starts, you're getting ready 2 hours before. Therefore, you push that another half an hour and say, right, at 12:30, I'm going to meditate. I'm going to give myself 30 minutes just in case I get way late. Don't cut it too fine. So that you know at 1 o'clock, you will then be able to do your normal preparation to be at work by 3. So that's how you set it up. I understand that you can't do it at the same time every day, but you can do it at the same preparation time in your rostered schedule so that it's happening. So therefore what you're training your brain to do is to go, oh, instead of getting ready 2 hours before shift starts, we're going to start 2.5 hours before shift starts. And that way you're at least making a disciplined schedule so that you can get involved with your practice. When I go snow skiing, that's when I have moving meditation. Okay, it's very interesting. That's when I feel at one with the universe. Go to the top of the mountain, go down as fast as I can, screaming all the way. It's probably very good for letting off a lot of energetic buildup as well. But yes, and again, you're out there and you're at 1, you see. You're at 1. That's that whole power of nature. Very powerful. Karina, meditation has literally saved my life. I know it has, my dear. Your power chats are a moving meditation. Thank you, Karina. My heart is full of admiration. Thank you. Right, my ego. Yeah, there we go. You get it now. Okay, so that's it really in a nutshell, everybody. If you've enjoyed tonight's video, please share it with your friends so that they can get benefit from the power chats that I do. I love to get the message out there as much as I can, and the message being not my message, but the message that we are all far more powerful and there is far more to us than we've ever realized, and that we're here in this lifetime for this experience, and it needs to be the best we can ever make it. And meditation is one of the most powerful tools to connect with all of the good life, okay? All of the good life. And then from there, that energy resonates and we miraculously start to manifest the reality we desire most. And it all comes from within. So, if you found this beneficial, please, if you want more, understand that there are some links below here. You can read more, which is my book, Master Mindset, which I wrote particularly for this time, from #coronavirus to #consciousness. Good old Amazon didn't want to print it actually because it had coronavirus on it. But they finally did, but I'm not allowed to advertise it. If you want to learn more about my courses, there's a link below for that too. And if you want to get more, there's a free Mindset Mastery assessment as well. So if you know anybody who would find benefit and enjoyment from my weekly Power Chats, please share my posts each week when I put them up, letting people know about, the various episodes that we're doing. Share away. Let's get more people here. Let's, raise each other up with love, live a life that matters. And I will see you next week. In the meantime, have fun meditating. Love to you all. And live a life that matters, my loves. Bye-bye.